We're going to be kicking things off this week. We're going to have a lot to talk about. A lot happened in Fortnite as well as the gaming community. So I think this one will probably be the best podcast. So hopefully everyone will enjoy this one. No intro music. We've been being flagged on YouTube for that. So that's why we're not going to be doing the intro music anymore. But appreciate everyone's support on the podcast. We've had a lot of good feedback from it. A lot of people want to be on it, and we're trying to get more and more HavoK members into it. This week we do have two members with us as our special guests, so we'll be introducing them in just a moment. But let's take the time to thank everyone at HavoK, at HavoK Shark, at HavoK Prophecy for the best team out there. Thank y'all so much. You know, going out on a limb every single day, putting your blood, sweat, and tears into the organization. Really do appreciate it. Like I said, I'm your host at HavoK Nades. You can find me on Twitter, so be sure to follow me. If you want to be on a podcast, then let me know. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump in. All right, guys. Y'all there?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. So let me switch everything over. Like I said, I'm your host, HavoK Nades. You can always find me on Twitter. Above me is at HavoK Prophecy, always. And then Shark, whenever he cuts his camera on, is at HavoK Shark. Today on the podcast, you can't see them. They're going to be on voice call with us. Please welcome in Almighty Hansen at HavoK Almighty, as well as Zykes. So appreciate both of them for coming out, being on the podcast. Like I said, we're gonna have a lot of good topics today. Almighty running one of the Fortnite teams on PS4 for us. So definitely gonna have some good talk about Fortnite with me and Austin being on Xbox, as well as Hansen being on PS4. There's gonna be a lot of talk there. Zykes being one of the graphic designers on HavoK. So we appreciate that, bro. Does great work. So if anyone needs anything in the future, please do reach out to him. And what's your Twitter at, Zykes? Is at HavoK Zykes?
Yeah, just HavoK Zykes, yeah.
HavoK Zykes. Okay. Cool. So hopefully everyone will enjoy the topics today. So let's get right on into it. Shark. Favorite subject. If not this one, then PUBG definitely. I know Shark really does enjoy PUBG, but Call of Duty. So has there been anything that's really has there been really anything in the Call of Duty community that's really caught your eye here lately, Shark?
Yeah, so PUBG IOEM Catalyst happened. It was awesome. I'm just kidding. Has anything caught my eye? Yeah. So Lightning Pandas won the 2K. How awesome is that? Like, those guys made pool play in the last event. They're going into Atlanta here soon. Sorry, my audio.
You're good.
Lightning Pandas won the 2K. That was awesome. I've been enjoying watching the Pro League Challenge series. I think that's really cool. I'm glad they're doing that. It's helping, it's helping the semi-pro / amateur community get better teams to play on a regular basis and better practice. So I'm real excited about that. Two of our former players, they just got top 8 in the Pro League Challenge this past yesterday or Saturday.
Yep. Saturday.
Cade and Holler. So congrats to them. They got top 8 in the Pro League Challenge. The Pro League's going on. It's fun to watch. I'm excited. I'll be excited to talk about like the whole Pro League when they're done.
Definitely. So there's a lot of Twitter talk about this COD being one of the more boring CODs. I know, just from a standpoint, obviously Shark doesn't believe so. It went back to roots, which is boots on the ground. But a lot of talk founded and pushed by Nadeshot Imbos as well as Pomage on Twitter, saying they can't wait for the next COD. They're glad it went to boots on the ground, but they believe it's a boring COD. So what are your inputs on that? I know Almighty also plays COD on the PS4. He's dabbled and dabbled around with GBs here and there. So what's your intake on it?
All right. Well, keep in mind, my opinions are a little bit flawed for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm completely biased because the first Call of Duty was World War II. It was amazing. It was the birth of Call of Duty. It was the birth of Call of Duty esports, and it was a hell of a time. So I love the World War II theme and of Call of Duty. As far as the game being boring, it depends on their reasons. Like if their reasons is because they want goofy skins, and that's not what World War II should ever be. So
Right.
honestly, I'm hats off to the developers for keeping it that way.
Right.
At least true to the time period.
Hello.
So I'm biased, and they say it's a boring game. Well, I mean, is it as fast paced as say like Black Ops 2 or Ghosts was, or the other, boots
No.
on the ground? No. So I can't really speak to that.
Right.
And I've also been playing multiplayer on PC, so it's a little bit different.
He's not playing the zombies anymore, boys.
Yeah, like I played Call of Duty on Xbox for 15 years, but I got it on PC so I could play zombies with my friends. I've had a blast playing zombies, so I have played a little multiplayer, but not on the console.
Okay.
So I can't really
So the whole, I know you had said
So I
what the
hope that
reasoning was.
yeah,
The reasoning
I hope if
behind
they're
that,
saying it's because it's like because it's a slower COD, or because
yeah, they're saying it's too slow. Pretty much with skill-based matchmaking being pretty pushed in this game. People like Pamaj who makes clips, everything like this. It's really tough for them because
everybody loved rank playing Ghost though. Like
Yeah.
I don't know why they'd complain.
So it's really tough because the maps are designed.
Do they not want rank play, or
They do want rank play, but it's how the maps are designed is what they're kind of getting at, to where there's a lot of headies and the games have just turned into people with AR sitting on head glitches, and that's pretty much what the game is. And that's unfortunate for people like Pamaj and Nadeshot who have big followings. They don't want to push these games that they're so used to. I mean, Pamaj has totally fallen off of it. He even tweeted out he hasn't had a controller in his hand for like 2 weeks now. So he's definitely not making COD videos anymore just because he's bored with it. He tweeted out he can't wait till, Treyarch makes the next one. So hopefully that one will be a little bit better. I think it will be because you saw with Advanced Warfare how that one was a little bit clunky of the movement, and then you transitioned into Black Ops 3, I think was the best jetpack game. Not saying that jetpack games are, by any means the best, but out of the three, I believe that one was the best one, and it was made by Treyarch. So
never go back to it.
So I think
the next Call of Duty, we're pretty sure it's gonna be boots on the ground.
It's gonna be boots on the ground. It's gonna be a modern day shooter.
And it'll be Treyarch. It'll be like Black Ops 2 probably.
Yeah, it's already confirmed.
Which is gonna be great. I'm excited.
Yep.
They're coming off IW, which was the worst Call of Duty in history, pretty much.
Right.
So they went with something that, they said if they were going to stop with the flying Call of Duty, they're going to go back to their roots, go back to the first game, where the original like Call of Duty fan base
pretty much
came from. So, what? I don't know. I think hats off to them. If the maps are a little bit slower and there's a lot of head glitches, like that's, to me, that's like kind of nitpicking the game.
Speaking of maps,
because there's nothing really wrong with it, so they're just having to figure out what's wrong with it.
That's small detail. I understand. Like I understand that there weren't enough maps. Like that's why competitive Call of Duty is kind of complaining. They're talking about bringing in DLC maps, which they've done before in Advanced Warfare. So yeah. I hope they're not nitpicking the game.
I think that's what kind of killed it for me, was just the repetitiveness of the maps and just
London docks.
It's London docks with just either a sniper or ARs holding head glitches. I mean, it's
and plus the SMG sprint out time was messed up at the beginning of the game. Now they fixed it, so it's kind of like when Black Ops 3. Like when you had the VMP, it's on par with that. So the SMG players just complain with that and lack of maps. And I agree with Pamaj with the whole AR sitting on head glitches. So
yeah, I mean,
all those problems combined.
I mean, the game. I mean, you guys got to remember, like, right at the beginning, how like the bar would literally just outgut SMGs who would have first shot on them
Yeah.
and stuff. Like, the game was
Definitely.
completely unplayable at first, and then the maps. I personally like. I tried playing like just like ranked with my roommate and stuff like that, and the maps are super stale. You get the same 3 maps every single time.
Exactly. London
It,
Docks.
it doesn't get yeah.
What was it?
London
USS
Docks,
Texas.
USS Texas, and the something do whatever like
Point
the
du
French
Huac,
map.
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but no, like the biggest problem with it is like I feel like the game isn't fun anymore unless you're playing search. Search is I feel like the only like fun game mode in that like in the competitive playlist and stuff.
What were you saying, Prof?
Aren't they forcing people to buy the map pack for competitive maps? Like, aren't they adding in?
Yes. So if
they
they
put it in
choose
the
to do
rotation.
so, then yeah, basically you're forced to get it, because if you get a GB and and it comes up as one of the maps, you have to have that map. Now I would believe probably GB will have an option to where you can choose just the
Almost
regular
all
maps.
CWO
Yeah.
bracket, probably not.
Yeah.
Or ladder, excuse me.
And like that's kind of, I guess, hopefully the point I want to make and like come across. Like, don't as far as like the Call of Duty community as a whole,
Mhm.
and where it's been in the past 2-3 years. I'm hoping that like people, influencers, like the people that you mentioned, like don't just like trash the game over, I don't know, nitpicky
Small
things.
things.
Right.
Right.
And
So now more than ever, like Call of Duty needs to,
I don't think
especially the important people in esports needs, if they want to, we're going to talk about, what was it? League of Legends players making tons of money. Like if if they ever want to reach that point, they need to grow the
What?
community. It can't, they need to grow the game. So hopefully, hopefully we don't get too
Do you know the average
over
salary?
the top. And like when players have to buy the map packs, to play new maps, to at least keep the game, more interesting. I hope they don't complain about that.
I mean, you're talking about a $20 investment
Because all
for
you're doing is creating negative energy towards your game. You're
Right.
not growing your community.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to go right back to the community. You're
I
right.
think the whole thing with Pamaj saying that the game was, boring to him, I don't think he's bashing the game. The game's a good game. It is solid. The hit reg's finally on point. Everything's good in the game. Guns are good. Everything's good. It just, once it becomes repetitive, any game, it doesn't matter what it is going to start being, it's going to start getting boring to play. That's why you want that next one. And I think a lot of the community, if you're not playing for it competitively or in the search and destroy realm of the game, you're getting bored of the game. And I think you've seen that with how many players are actually on that
I know,
game
but
now.
I feel like I repeat myself every week. Like developers don't sell millions of copies of a
Right.
game because
They make it for the multiplayer.
Yeah,
Right.
they make it.
I was going to say, I'm using my $20 for
That's why they
Fortnite
have all the
skins.
weapon variants that you don't see in esports, and they have the map packs. So I feel like
Right.
we
And I understand it's a good multiplayer. I think a lot of people do enjoy it, but at the same time, there's big names out there that really give the push to those games. Unfortunately, they're starting to get bored with it, and that's what's giving it a bad rep. So I think it's a solid game. That's my personal input on it. It's just it got boring to me as well.
So my whole thing when I look at especially like COD and things like that, and people are like, oh my god, it's so boring, and they can't wait for the next one to get out. Like, I look at games like CS:GO and like how that game has barely changed in the last like 5 years. Like they've
the graphics, really.
They've changed like little graphic issues and little bugs and things like that, and it's still a
Same as
solid
League of
game.
Legends.
League of Legends. Well, League of Legends they did a lot of reworks and things like that. But like I guess really just CS:GO mostly, just because CS:GO has like probably the highest play rate out of like a least changed game, I would say. Like, I don't know if there's really a stat for that, but like you know what I mean. Yeah,
Definitely.
and like if you can bring that to a Call of Duty, I think the closest thing to that in Call of Duty was probably Modern Warfare 2.
Probably.
Like a game that you could just play and like never put down.
People
like,
still are on.
I heard
yeah.
rumors of Modern Warfare 2 remastered.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
It'd be
a lot of
great.
people would
It'd
be
be
grinding
great,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
That was my first COD.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
Treyarch's
Nice.
making it though. That's the thing. Treyarch's making it. And Infinity Ward has the rights to Modern Warfare.
I don't think Jonas has the.
I don't have the Streamlabs. That's gonna be on
Streamlabs open.
Shark's End, but I'm pretty sure that it did go through.
I sent you the link.
No,
so-
you can just
Yeah,
sign in
that's
and
right.
stream through the
Right,
Twitch.
that's right.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Definitely.
What do you guys
Yep.
feel about Condry leaving for
Oh
Activision?
man.
A lot of people feel like that World War II is now put on the shelf because of Condry and what was Schofield left for Activision.
Yeah, they got promotions
Yeah.
because of all the publicity they brought to the game. So I'm not concerned about it. I'm sure they're probably still going to be on the World War II project directing it, but they're just going to be under Activision, who just owns the title. Which, by the way, if it wasn't for Activision, I think Call of Duty would be so much better. They've literally single-handedly fucked every single Call of Duty they've touched.
Strong opinion.
Yeah, like after probably Modern Warfare 3, like that's when they started doing like supply drops, and like they were the ones who started all of it. It wasn't the actual companies.
Yeah,
that started it.
they're the big names that just want the money, so they're trying, push skins, push supply drops, everything like this. Which I mean, there's another game out there that we're about to talk about that I think did it right. That I think did it right, but we're not at that point yet. So
Exactly, you read my mind.
but not to get sidetracked.
And like, yeah, I guess like this Call of Duty still has COD points and like, the supply drops, but it's at least it's not like,
They did it right with the variants.
mascots with, like,
They did it right with the
crazy skins,
variants.
like,
You guys think the Prestige was too
They
quick?
still kept it to the World War II, like.
And the variants don't give you any advantages. Different site. That's really it. There's a few variations between the sites. It wasn't like Black Ops 3 to where like if you wanted the Peacekeeper.
To win game.
Yeah.
Like Battlefield, or I mean Battlefront, Star
That
Wars.
Peacekeeper
Like,
goes hard.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Mhm.
like World War II does
is
it
what
wrong
it
in the
is.
fact that like you're not guaranteed the item. Like I remember when Clayster was
Yeah.
going hard with the PPSH duck suit. Everyone wanted it, but you had to spend dollars and dollars towards supply drops to even get it. And
I got it.
Fortnite, you can yeah, I got it now. I'm frying, not really, but like now you can get items on Fortnite, and it's just like, all right, I want the Dragon Glider, spend $20. I want this dance emote, spend $10.
Hey, I'm not. I got the Dragon Glider.
I got like
I want it. I just think $20 for one item is just expensive.
Yes, I agree. We'll talk about that.
Yep. So CWL Atlanta is coming up. It looks like it's going to be the biggest COD event, or do you think that's just a scam? Because we remember
They keep saying
what
that
they
every-
said about New Orleans,
and Dallas.
and it looked like one of
When
the
they say
smallest
the biggest
venues.
events, when they say the biggest events, what they mean is they sold the most passes.
Yeah. Doesn't mean teams are going to actually
Show up.
Right.
Right, and understandable because a lot of these smaller teams that are on Twitter and they have like the small in followers, they'll buy the team pass. They're like, oh yeah, this sounds great, and then you think about what goes into that. You got you got to take time off of work if you have a job. You got to fly people out. You got to this, that, and the other. It adds up. Just for even if you're not a player, you're just going to watch. Like myself, you're dropping about anywhere from $800 to $1,000 just to go watch.
Easily.
For this little 3 to 4 day event that you're going to. So multiply that by your whole squad.
you
I
have
mean,
to
it just
travel,
gets.
I mean, if you want
people who are
Adderall
lucky
and
enough-
girls, you can stay at home and
Yeah.
spend $100.
People who are
instead of
lucky enough to
$5.
live in their city, like New York City and CS:GO, for example. You know what I mean? That there's no travel costs. It's just a spectator fee.
Take the train.
Right.
So most of the spectators are, I don't know about most, but a lot of the spectators are local.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about living near Columbus, like I do. You get MLG Columbus and stuff
Right.
like that.
That's one of my favorite events, dude. I love Columbus. That was the first event I ever went to. It was like CBIS 2004 or 5, I think, was my first. So
I'm glad they having an event in Seattle now. It's gonna be my first COD event that I go.
UMG?
No, CW Seattle. It's one in Seattle. I think it's
Oh, I didn't know that.
after Atlanta. I'm not sure.
After
That's
Anaheim,
cool. That's
probably.
pretty cool.
Yeah, because Cram6 was happy about it because he was going back to his hometown.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's the first one in Seattle, I believe. They're having a tournament. Yeah.
I gotta see what arena is at, but yeah, since I'm like a couple of miles away, I could just go see it and don't have to shell out 800 to 1,000.
Right. So, not
Who's
sure if
gonna
you
win?
Yeah, who's gonna win? But first, before we get into that, have you seen EU and their performance in the last weeks? Absolutely
United?
terrible.
Abysmal.
United or the EU continent?
United.
E United, E United, E United. Sorry. Um,
No. It's just because I hate that name.
E United
They
is
really screwed up the whole EU team thing.
they. I don't even know what to say.
No, I mean, yeah, and I kind of felt guilty. I made a prediction, a long time ago that Glacier would win champs as soon as it went to World War II on the boots on the ground.
Commentators curse, Nick.
But I think one of the issues with E United is a lot of their players are AR
dominant players, yeah.
dominant players. Like both obviously Glacier, and then you got Silly was an AR for a while. He switched to a sub. I don't really even know when. I mean, he was more of a flex player. And Arcides was AR player.
AR, yeah.
So the 3 AR 1 sub meta played in their favor, and so much complaining happened, and they changed the complete meta of the game, where now it's like a 3 sub game almost.
If I believe EU was doing really well at Dallas, if I remember correctly.
Right. So, and I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, as far as a roster change, I don't think they need a roster change. I think they need to just figure out what the heck they need to do to win.
It got to the point to where
they need to like just.
Did you hear the
switch roles? Like, and you know what? Like,
did you hear the listen-in they had?
Glacier will run a sub, but I hope he doesn't.
That was the funniest listen-in I've ever heard. Did you actually hear it?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of Twitter talk about people like, oh, I can't believe he said that. Like with the listening, I'm like, the game is rated M for mature. Like if you're watching it, it still needs to be the same. So with him saying that, I was like, whatever. I mean,
he didn't say anything too inappropriate at all.
Yeah, it was so funny.
I think he was just screaming like it was his second win of the week.
He was kind of bashing people and cursing here and there, but I mean that comes with the listening.
It's because the meta changed. An update happened, and there's still a lot of the year to play,
right.
I mean, we watched it in the past 2 years. Envy was, they were, I wouldn't say terrible, but to their standards, terrible for the first half of,
they didn't even make.
And then out of and then they come out and they, were in the finals of the Stage 2 Pro League, champs, So, I think United can stick with their roster. They just need to figure out what they need to do to win. And as time goes on and we get into Stage 2 playoffs, I'd expect them to turn up and play better towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Certainly we'll see. We will see. So quick question for you guys. I know we were talking just about COD points and everything, but there's been some renderings by artists on putting camos into the game. It seems like all the camos that are currently into the game, they're kind of like rusted out, and they look more rustic than anything. It's not like a vibrant color pop. Yeah, it's kind of like that World War II feel. So, do you think
there's nobody running around in like hot pink pants in World War
so
II,
we saw in Black Ops 3 when they introduced like the CWL skins, and it had like the skins of the teams on there. So do you think that would be a good introduction?
I wouldn't mind.
No?
It would make the general public happier.
Make the general public happy.
For competitive
and that goes back to Nick's point. We're trying to make the general public happy.
Right.
So I think it would be a good thing from Activision standpoint, but from like a World War II and like respecting World War II, it just kind of kills it right then and there.
Like you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, let's try to like get into the kids' shoes that just got into the COD scene these past 3 years. Like if they were expecting COD to be like how Nick said, you're in hot pink pants, jetpacking around, all running. They are believing that's how COD is. So they don't know that point where Nick was like, yo, the first World War II game I played back, World at War.
The first Call of Duty
like
ever. Yeah. There's none of that.
And going back to Envy though, right now, I don't know if you guys paid. Like I've been paying attention to the Pro League a little bit. They're actually second in Division B Pro League right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're not doing too bad as of because Pro League's all land, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Now.
Yeah, it used to not
Ow.
be. That's right.
Yeah, I remember when it wasn't. That was pretty funny. You have
Wasn't
players
that long
lag out
ago?
all the time. Yeah, it was Black Ops 3. I believe it quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think IW Infinite was the first one
Mhm.
with the LAN Pro LAN League. But I think that's gonna do it for
Winning.
COD.
But yeah, we were finishing up the point that like team skims in the game.
Oh yeah, team.
So like I'm always
don't
all
care.
for it. I'm just kind of afraid, like you know what I mean? Because if you open that box of worms in World War II, there's no stopping it. And then
Right.
you're gonna have pink
Yeah.
guns and like flashy, just goofy stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't belong in a World War II. Like it's kind of opening Pandora's box by doing that. Like I understand why, and like in a game like Halo does a great job of implementing like team skins. And they even, a portion of that goes back to supporting those teams.
All of it, actually.
No, not all of it, but
I thought all of it.
I think
it
it's a
was
percentage, but
it's a huge percentage.
whatever.
It goes
usually
from
do
the
50-50.
They do a
championship.
great job with it, but it also like fits their game. You know what I mean? And even like the jetpacking games, like it was okay that they had those fancy, crazy, different skins to like make your character stand out. Like that's great and all, but in this kind of game, I don't think it belongs. I hope they don't open that can of worms.
I remember Black Ops 3. I had a
Smoothie, Jesus,
I had a vibrant pink suit. I ran around with the
Call
little
of Duty
glitch
has
dude.
never been good at implementing team skins anyway. Like I think they did it in Advanced Warfare for the first time.
Mhm.
They did
I
the
guess-
Denial exosuit and then the
Mhm.
optic one.
I guess my my problem with like not implementing this stuff is that like I feel like the Pro League like should be pushed a lot more because the competitive side of Call of Duty is probably the only side that's really lasting. Like I think that's gonna outlast like the casual playing side. So when like you're like having people watch, you're having people watch these guys and they're playing their hearts out for a game that they've loved for a long time, and then you're just like, oh, by the way, we're gonna do like absolutely nothing to help you. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to pay for these DLCs. Like, what are they gonna do if somebody doesn't pay for the DLC before a LAN? Like, are they just gonna not like let them play, or like what? I mean, I don't like the whole like
Well, no,
you like to be required to play in this Pro League. You're gonna be doing things with DLC. Like,
I mean,
guess I don't like that.
the counter argument is like, how much does it cost for the map pack really, and how much do you get paid?
I feel like it should cost
being a
it
pro
should-
COD player.
I feel like it should cost.
Like
I know, but
I'm
isn't-
sure-
Isn't the whole thing about like competitive?
I mean,
Call of
it's
Duty,
buying the
like-
tools to do your
Yeah,
job.
I'm sure.
In my opinion, you know what I mean. If
Yep.
you're a construction worker, you got to buy a hammer. It's
Well, yeah, the company buys it for you though, right? Isn't it
Sometimes.
like the
Yeah,
Well,
but
like,
in
or
this
still
sense,
good.
like if you're
You
top
gotta, like,
16,
still
probably
build
the team is gonna be buying it for you,
you know
or
what
at
I mean?
least.
Look
Yeah,
at
I know.
teachers. Teachers
I'm
have to buy
sure-
their own supplies sometimes for their
let's
classrooms.
say you get into right, but
Sometimes
like,
you gotta do what you gotta do to do the job.
all right, so but like, isn't like the whole thing about Call of Duty like the good thing about it is like it's such a game like at least the thing that it used to be is like everybody was good like not like you know what I mean, but like everybody was good. Like there's people who are like no names who are just going out and like shining out in CODs and stuff like that, and then they
Yeah,
fall
like
off.
TR
Like,
when they made
yeah,
that run.
dude, TR. Oh my God, don't even talk to me about that. I love those. I love those guys. Those are like my favorite team. But yeah, like the whole thing. Like, what if you have like this team of people who are just like good friends in real life? They end up kicking ass at COD, and then they go and they like could potentially qualify for Pro League, but they don't want to spend $15 because they're not signed under an order or anything. Like, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's just
You
Like,
suck it up and
you
you
have
buy
to
the map
get the org.
packs. If that's
Yeah.
your dream, you suck it up, buy the map packs,
Right,
and
yeah, I
leave the
know,
money
but I'm saying,
later.
like- I'm saying, like it's just like
yeah,
a-
I know what you
like,
mean. I know what
It's
you're
not,
saying.
it's not like
I
an
understand.
expectation
It's just-
personally, like as a developer, like if I were to have a game like that, I wouldn't have an expectation of like, hey, by the way, you're
I
gonna
mean, they
have
can't
to-
just
you're
like
gonna have
make
to
the
pay
map
for this.
pack free.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like
They could.
paintball. If you want to you want to compete in the top level paintball, unless you're a top 6 pro team,
or
got-
just my
you
bad.
gotta buy your own paint. Like there's no paint sponsor. You're paying.
And I know a lot of
$60
people
a paint.
complain about that too. Like because a lot of people complain about buying like season passes for Call of Duty. It's like
You don't want to spend
you
an
know,
extra $15.
yeah, I just
Why are
spent
you paying
$60 on this
$65?
game. Now I got to
Yeah.
spend another $60 on the map packs.
Right.
You know, and
Well, again,
you know,
You don't
but
have
that's
to.
you don't have to, and it's just
So-
part of the experience. What you're paying for is the continued support and development of the game.
Right.
Right.
You know,
So
Can
I
I
mean,
ask you guys what is
and I
in the
understand
map
that they
pack?
make tons of money, but
It's
What's
anyway.
in the map pack?
Valkyrie. Yeah, the
Only 4
competitive map
maps.
is Valkyrie, and that's the only competitive map, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why don't they just add Valkyrie free for everyone, general public,
They could do
competitive.
that.
because cha-ching, boy.
Yeah, well,
They
yeah, I
just
know.
want the money. That's all. That's what
Well,
I'm
they
saying.
could do
Yeah.
that because you saw the free map being introduced in Black Ops 3 when Nuketown was only purchasable, and then they dropped it in the update and they made everyone download it and it was for free. So yeah, it
Yeah, I
pissed a
mean,
lot of
at the
people
end of
off
the
that
day,
paid for it, but
Or you can just
at the
be
end
like
of the day,
Halo
like they're
and
not
give everything
making
else for
map
free.
packs to make so that they're good competitive maps for
it just so
esports.
happened
Right.
They're
that
making them good
businessmen that don't
public
play video
match
games.
maps, right? For the millions of people who buy Call of Duty.
It just
Yeah.
it
Play it
almost
as
it
an
just makes
esport.
me think it just makes me think that they're like releasing like a half-made game just so that they can release the other half and make more money off of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I understand.
it's like buying a burger with no condiments
And
on it.
you know, to support your argument, they do have 3 years to make these games now
Right.
because they're on a 3-year rotation, at least for now.
I
I'm
guess
not
I
sure if
think
that's
that's
going
also
to
part of the
remain,
problem
but
of it. That's probably part of the problem of it is like
for IW, I don't think it should.
3 games. Yeah, you've had 3 years to make this game, and you can't have a competitive map pool that's more than 5 maps.
But they only
yeah, I
like
understand.
spend 6 months of the whole 3 years on multiplayer and that whole aspect of it. So it's not like they spend a
Yeah,
large amount of time on making multiplayer
that's
this
how they're able to
big
keep up,
thing.
like game after game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Infinite Warfare was, you know, in like design stages and concept stages, you know, back 3 years ago before AW came out. You know what I mean? Like once Sledgehammer introduced advanced movement to the game, everybody else had to play catch up.
Pretty much.
I don't know. Personally, I love AW. I love the movement on that
I
game
had fun
for
with
some
it
reason.
for sure.
That was like probably my best game. That's when I was like making like $100 a week off of channels and stuff.
My thing is, I don't understand why if Sledgehammer back in AW had the whole advanced movement, why do all the other studios have to do the same thing? How come they can't,
Because AW was
do another thing?
because AW and Ghosts were both the highest profiting Call of Duties of all time because of how much hype they had behind the series and stuff like that. So they were like, "Oh, people are buying this. All right, well, we're gonna make it." And then by the time Black Ops 3 came out, they were like probably like a year and a half down the line, like after they'd already started the game and had like the basis for it.
They were
but
like over it.
yeah, they were like, "Fuck jetpack." Everybody was like, "Fuck jetpacks," and then they were like, "Well, we already have this game made, so we're just gonna take the L." And then actually, that's how it was with IW, not BO3.
Then that's just the problem. They have to scrap that idea of just following up because of what's popular, because
Right.
it's like things are fads.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a fad that
Exactly.
you're just like, yo, I like this, and then later down the line you're not gonna like that. So they just have to be more creative.
Yep, and I think there's a reason why Counter Strike has been as successful as it is. It's not so much because it's because of the idea of the game, because it's a modern shooter that everyday people can relate to. That's why it's on TBS. You know, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess like League of Legends doesn't fit that, you know, category, but it's just that popular that it's
Right.
also on TV. But what other shooters are on normal cable television that can relate to everyday people? You know, so I think
would say
Call of
that-
Duty, if Call of Duty followed that and went back to, you know, doing past wars, you know what I mean, like Black Ops 1 in Vietnam, and like, you know, or modern day shooters, whatever it is, like something that's relatable to everyday people. That's where you know Call of Duty will again continue to grow. Like Call of Duty was on X Games once, but
Yeah.
you know, it was because, you know, and ESPN, but it didn't stay on ESPN and X Games and things like that because it became a game that wasn't relatable to everyday people. I think, at least in my opinion.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, like, I would say like Overwatch isn't really relatable to a lot of people at all.
How is Call of Duty going to get on TBS?
I think Call of Duty gets on TBS by making the nature of the game more competitive. The way that like Counter Strike is just strictly competitive, and like the way that Counter-Strike did it, I think is perfect, right? There's no campaign. They have like a training session thing, and then it's literally all online. And then most of what you're doing is competitive play. And then you have these other people who are improving on it. Because I'm not going to sit here and say that Counter-Strike's the perfect game because they have a lot of shit to fix. But it's still playable. Like you can go and you can play matchmaking, you can have a good time, you can do well, and you can get in that competitive mode. Whereas Call of Duty, like when I'm playing ranked, I could literally be blasting music in the background, fucking around, still maybe win. Sure, it gives me that little competitive edge, but it's nothing. It's nothing near what Counter Strike is.
And I think also they should
You're
like
muted.
everywhere. It's just a higher me.
No. Awesome.
I think they should
Hello.
give you like a higher reward. Like
know.
I'm not too big into Counter Strike, but don't they have like ESA and
Well, see, and
ESL?
that's another thing. Counter Strike has a separate league for the pros. Like it's like a client. It's a separate client called ESEA. So,
Mhm.
maybe if Call of Duty could make a separate, which would be hard because it's console, but a separate app, which is not hard to make for tournament play only, which would be easier to maintain, probably take
They
less.
kind of did that. You know, they have GBs in the game.
Well, yeah, they have GPs.
Yeah,
That's right.
I think that's a huge step. I think I don't know. I feel like Call of Duty is a lot more casual. It's a lot more casual gaming than something like Counter Strike is, especially because it's on console, right? So I think having people download like a separate app is probably not gonna take in a lot of the people who
Yeah.
play it casually and want to make that transition. They probably
Yeah.
don't want to do that. I think if they were to just improve ranked play like a lot to like make it something that like you can actually go pro straight off of ranked play, like you.
I think
don't need anything separate,
accessibility.
They do like
I think it's part of the reason also is accessibility, right? Like
If you make top
Counter
100
Strike
in
and
ranked play,
League of Legends, these games that are on normal television today, um, they're more accessible because they're run on a PC platform and not based off a console.
not to mention Counter Strike has been around for
So I think it's more accessible to more people
25 years.
Yeah, 1.6
around the world. But yeah,
And
all
Counter
good
Strike
points.
is very minuscule to North America, like Counter Strike, than European Counter Strike. Like Europe takes Counter Strike just as serious as Korea takes League of Legends, for example. Yeah.
Right.
Top
Right.
4 in StarCraft was all from
Who's
Korea.
winning? Who's winning Atlanta?
Who's winning Atlanta?
Okay, here. This is what we have right now.
Not Optic. They just got 12th in the Pro League Challenge. No, I'm just kidding.
For Pro League standings, you have for Division A, you have Rise Nation at 10-1, Optic at 8-2, Red Reserve at 7-3, Team Caliber at 7-4, and 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th all have 3 wins or 1 win. And then in the B division, you have, and by the way, Red Reserve or Rise and Optic already instant qualified for playoffs. For B, first place you have Luminosity with 6-1, Envious with 6-1, Phase 5-2, and Splice at 3-4.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Optic's gonna win. I don't think it. This is why. They've been playing terrible. I think they're gonna get. It's halfway through the season. They've been playing terrible. They got that out of the way. They're gonna turn it around.
Now, but do you think everything that's been happening over at Optic is going to affect them?
That could. And if they lose, that's the reason why they lose, is because everything that's been happening
That's not
at
the reason
Optic,
why they lose.
they're gonna lose.
All right.
They're the best players.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Red Reserve. You all know I always love to root for an underdog. I'm gonna go with Red Reserve. I think that would be cool to see them win. They've been playing well.
Okay.
That's just gonna be my guess.
We got an Optic.
won the last 2
I'm going
events,
Rise Nation.
but
Rise. Okay.
TK has a lot of drama going on too, so I'm not gonna go with
Okay.
TK.
Okay. Almighty.
Not to mention Optic just 3-0'd TK as well.
Yeah.
Well, since you said Optic 3-0 TK, I'm gonna go with the back-to-back champions TK. They won the last 2 majors, so why not go back to back?
Yeah.
I don't know shit about a COD, so I'm saying HavoK COD for the win.
not
gonna happen because we don't have a team.
Unless everyone gets disqualified, then
Yo, let's just get 4 random people who don't even play COD, hand them controllers, and tell them to go get it, dude.
Go get it. They'll be like, what are we doing?
The hell is a rotate?
Guys know I made 7th round before with a pickup squad at the door. It can happen. You can make
I'm sure you can.
Hey, my random Twitter tournament Call of Duty team got second at MES.
Hey,
Very
yeah,
true.
very
Yeah,
true, very
that's what
true.
I'm talking about.
That was crazy. That's crazy. But that's enough of COD. I think we went a little bit overboard, but that's okay. We spent about 40 minutes on COD, but that's good. That's good. I haven't really had a COD talk like that in a while, so that felt good.
Yeah, COD's been kind of slow lately.
Yep,
So
yep, yep. All right, so getting over into Fortnite. One of the better battle royales out right now, partnered with PUBG. So
The best.
so they're battling back and forth. They're trying to see which one's the best. So there's a lot of bugs that's been going on with Fortnite though. So the game released, the game was great. Obviously we knew there was gonna need to be some expansion. There was bug fixes, everything. I think the pre-release to Tilted Towers, that big update to where they updated the map, I think that was when it was at its best stage. Once they added Tilted Towers, there was a lot of glitches, such as, to where you can't pull your gun out, in Tilted, invisible people. Sometimes they'll be holding their axe and they actually have a gun in their hand, so you're not even
Underground glitch.
thinking of people. There's underground glitches. There's a lot of glitches, is what we're trying to say. So, one of the big ones that a lot of people, it wasn't even something that is that can affect your gameplay pretty much. It's just the colors of the camos being put onto the weapons. There was a lot of uproar about that. Since then, I believe it has been fixed. And remember, we were going to be talking about this last week on the podcast, so this is all, another week in the works, and there's been another update with it. So the color camo glitch has been fixed, so the colors are more vibrant now. Because I remember like a golden scar would look gray, so it was terrible.
Distance, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you might not even run over because you don't know that it's a golden scar. So but season 3 is now here. We were going to talk about there's no real money option. A lot of people were freaking out with that, but I think it was a good play on Fortnite, to make it just 950 V-bucks. You couldn't buy it for the 9.99 like you could in season 2. So I think that was really good. Season 3, I believe, is really, really, really good. They give you a lot that you can earn. There's a lot of cool things that have been implemented into the game with the astronauts. So I think that they went big on that, and it won. Because if you remember, last it was knights. So you got the Black Knight, you got the Blue Knights. I'm not sure exactly what they were called. So it was like yeah, it was like medieval times. So now they went to astronauts, with the top one not even being an astronaut, but being basically John Wick. John Wick himself. Like, that's crazy. So I don't know. What's your input on how season 3 is going, Almighty? Because I know from a PS4 standpoint, obviously it's going to be somewhat kind of like what Xbox is, but both of ours is going to be different than what it is on the PC standpoint. Because on console, it's mainly, and I know I gave shit to Austin about this. Console is really just straight up gun skill. That's what it is. Building on console is really not that prevalent. If you can build out of your mind on console, you're going to win. Really, you're going to win a lot of games, just because with a controller you don't have all those key bindings to be able to build fast. And then on PC, you don't really need the best gun skill. You still need some, but if you can't build, you're not winning at all, because people are just going to build around you. So, what do you think? Do you think that they need to implement a faster building system in the consoles, or do you think that they need to just stick with how it is right now and just letting the gun skill itself be the primary objective?
Um, I think with the season 3 update that they did implement the turbo building of you don't have to keep on pressing down the trigger to build. You could just hurry up and build turbo and just like I've seen players whereas if they're on a higher sense on console, they could just whip around, spin and hold down the building button and it'll just build everywhere. And to
My
answer your
gun skill
question,
lacks to that, though, I believe. It's hard. Well, unless you can aim really well with high sensitivity.
Yeah, it's hard to aim
yeah,
with high sense.
but the thing with Fortnite is that you can adjust your ADS. It's just when you ADS, then that's when it's fine tuned and slowed down. But once
That's
you're not ADS and you could whip around, and that's beneficial to the players with high sensitivity because if they need and they don't know what they're getting shot from, they could just whip around, build. And to answer your question about the gun skill versus PC and building and console, I think whoever has either the PC or a console, they can see like how you said that it's more gun skill involved when it's console because not every player knows how to build. So they have to rely more on shooting or just building up and playing advantage with like just building up three
Yep.
stacks and shooting down or just head glitching the top of a house and shooting someone. And more PC is more you see more build off wars of like Myth and some other streamer or John just three stacking it, placing down jump pad, and then just
Crazy,
awesome
man. Like
It's crazy,
it's
dude. It's
50
crazy.
stories high like
Yeah.
gunfight. So I like the aspect of console, me personally, of it's more tailored to gun skill, and whoever has the better gun skill is gonna win because you gotta pop those noggins to get those crits. And then
right.
you're not gonna be damaged if you getting more crit headshots and killing people. So that's just my opinion.
Definitely. Definitely. Austin, I know I gave you shit about that, about the gun
I know.
skills not gonna win the games. Which I mean, to be fair, when it's coming down, if it's 1-on-1, if you both have equal gun skill, but one person can build better, that
Oh, yeah.
person's got the
Majority of
biggest.
the time.
It's got the biggest advantage. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you absolutely can't win with just gun skill. Austin did it, so
Yeah, I got 5 scars and dropped. I had max materials of everything. I all materials to prove a point that I can win with 5 scars, and I did. So
So it's definitely possible, but do you think that there's going to be more implementations on the console side to help with building, or do you think they're going to keep it the ruggedness that it is right now?
I think they might
Uh,
keep it the same, to be honest. Because if you look at most console games when it comes to shooters, it's gun skill
Right.
is yeah, it's
primary.
primary. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to change it up just to maybe even it out a little more. Um, but I know like the turbo build, there are some flaws in it. For example, like when you're building ramps, if you're angled
It
so
builds our roof.
it builds roof and ramp at the same time, which can help if if you're getting shot from above. But if you're not trying to do that, you're wasting materials. So
Yeah.
uh,
Right.
I I don't know. I think it's good the way it is right now, and I think they should leave it. I think they should mess with the whole building aspect because there are some people who can build really quickly on the console, and they have that advantage. So
Definitely.
Yeah. And then with this new update of the turbo build, I think Austin retweeted it on his Twitter or liked it or something. You can rocket ride, and if you want to hurry up and build a bridge, you could just have someone look down and then turbo build a bridge across whatever they're rocket riding
it
to.
was
I
That's
think
insane.
that's dope.
crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
so I think
I want to
it's
try
added
that, Austin.
mechanics into the game, but overall, I think you just have to be the best overall player. Yes, you could have
Right.
better gun skills, but if someone could build better than you, then they at an advantage. So you need to have balance both. You need to
Right.
be able to build well and you need to be able to shoot.
Right.
Not to mention the season 3 has been I've been sleep deprived
Yes.
in
Me
this
too.
Yeah.
season 3.
I
Me and
Can we
Jonas have
talk
been
about
trying
the
to.
animations they added with the characters and like how
Animations.
they run
Oh yeah,
and like the slower the movement is
Yes.
just I think is they did a good job.
it's way fluent,
They
60
did
FPS.
they did a really good job.
Yeah.
The 60 FPS definitely was well needed. Now with that, we found a bug, and since then Fortnite really hasn't tweeted out about it. I had Fortnite Battle Royale uh DM me saying that they believe it's a problem that they're going to be looking into for the next update for 3.1. It seems to be Xbox One S's as well as PS4 Slims are black screening and closing app sometimes, which I mean today it's happened to me once. Other days it happens to me 5 or 6 times in a day, and it's really frustrating because you don't get it's as if you just disconnect from the game, so you don't get any credit for the win, you don't get anything. So if they can't fix this problem, if it's an actual systematic error, then I think what Fortnite has to do in this sense
Like
is implement a way to rejoin and reconnect into the game. To where if you disconnect, your player will freeze right then and there in its tracks. Obviously, you're going to be a sitting
You have
duck,
to
but
build over 'em.
but you can still rejoin and you can still get your points because it's definitely frustrating. Like yesterday, whenever I'm dropping, I had 11 kills going into a top 10 situation, 11 kills, and then me die, and the other three teammates who have one kill each get the win, and I don't get anything, and I was doing the most work. It's very, very frustrating. So, um, definitely if they go ahead and release that it is
I
a
wasn't in
problem
that
with the
game.
S, I'm gonna be switching systems. I'm gonna have to sell this S. I'm gonna have to buy an Xbox One X, which that's gonna piss a lot of people off, especially with the league coming up soon. So the league's gonna be out for it's probably primarily gonna be online for PS4 as well as Xbox, and then the LAN events are gonna be PC. It's gonna be ran by PC. But there's a lot of GB tournaments, everything like that. So they just need to figure out a way to fix that because I would hate to put money on a match and then black screen and
Yo,
Oh
that's
yeah.
what's been happening with my duos partner that I play wagers with. He was in mid wager and he only needed one more kill to win his wager and he black screen. And then when we were just playing just a normal duo, in the middle of it, he just black screened and I had to clutch it up and win for him and he still didn't get the win. So I think what Fortnite either has to do if it's like you said, if it's a error that they can't fix, they'll have to reinstate of when back in the past, whereas if your teammates get the win and you lose or you back out or you black screen, then you get the win. It's
right,
either that or just fix it.
definitely, definitely. So the double pump was nerfed as well, but there's a new gun that's been introduced to the game, and there's a new meta. The
Deagle.
Deagle is
Dude,
introduced.
that thing is
Extreme
nice.
damage. Deagle does 75 to 78 damage to the body. It does 100 and
Massive hand
it does
cannon.
175 damage to the head.
It's so loud. You can hear it
It's
across
a
the
two
map.
or
Loud.
it's a two or a three shot gun, holds 7 shots and can be fired consecutively like the double pump. The advantage to this is obviously up close. It doesn't have the spread or the hitbox that the shotgun has. However, at range, you can still cycle through each deagle and you can put out 14 shots very, very quickly. So, tears people up, tears bases up. What do you think about the implementation of the deagle? Do you think that you should be allowed to use the double deagle, like the double pump, or do you think that will eventually nerf this? I personally think that what they need to come out with is just being able to carry one of each type of gun. So if it's a SCAR, you can only carry one SCAR. If it's an AR, you can only carry one AR of any color. If it's, a pistol, you can only carry one pistol of whatever color. And I think that'll make the game a little bit better. What do
I
you,
think
what?
if they fix like the switching of weapons meta, I don't know. I think it's fine if you want to carry more
Because I
than
mean, if
one.
you're carrying 5 deals,
Yeah.
you can just fire shots off that fast. I mean, obviously you're gonna rip through people. Now, with that being said, they are legendary and epic variants, so I mean they're hard to find. So whenever you do find them, not a lot of people are gonna be running double deagles. But if you do get them, it's very, very, very overpowered.
I don't know about overpowered, dude. I mean, like,
Yeah.
if anybody, they have to be pretty close for you to be like hitting every single shot. Otherwise, it like because the spread just spreads around through the crosshair. It's like if you were trying to like shoot somebody who's pretty far away with a like with a assault rifle, only a lot less accurate. I
Yeah.
think it's better for like if somebody's building with wood and you just pop like 2 shots into the wood. That's good. I think that's like a really good use for it, or like maybe even doubling it, right? I don't want to double deagle just because there's so many other things that I'd rather have except for like a second deagle, like extra heal or a sniper or something.
Right.
Um, I think unless you're like Ninja, where you could just use any gun and win, I think it's really overpowered for the people who are really, 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 really good at the game. Like there's people who will just build and then they could just get on top of you, open up the floor, and then just fucking pop you in the head with a deagle, like shit like
Yeah.
that. I think for like the other like million like plus people who play the game, I don't think it's really that huge of a deal. I don't see them nerfing it in the free tier personally.
All right, so for me, I just think that double anything is the controversy with a lot of people like in Reddit. They just think double anything could have the potential to be like the double pump.
Double
And
pump, double tac
yeah,
shotgun, double
All they gotta
tactical
do is fix
sub.
the weapon switch mechanic and
but I really don't think that it's really should be controversial that you should be able to double pump anything. In my opinion, I think it's just like in Call of Duty, the higher skilled players is gonna know how to drop shot, jump shot corners. They're gonna know how to. It's a in World War II when you melee and then dolphin dive. That's a mechanic that they have
Mm,
used. It's
okay.
in any video game,
You don't think
especially
it?
in arcade video games. It's gonna be a mechanic that higher skilled players is
The
gonna
worst one was
abuse.
Gotcha.
Halo 2, the quad shot and BXR.
So you think it's a learned trait rather than a game mechanic that's just being abused?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like I think the higher skilled players, if you're a player that is just getting into Fortnite and someone double pumps you, that should be a learning experience to like, hey, I
Right.
need to switch up my play skills or my button mechanics so I can double bumper and then
Mhm.
hit the double pump just like how everyone else is using, and then that's gonna make me a better player. Cause what I
Here's
found
a
out when they nerfed the double pump, the shotguns just needs to be consistent. It is so inconsistent of if you hit
I'm a pickup shotgun.
someone's
So
shoulder, you do 8 damage, and it's like you just hit them directly, but it does 8 damage. And if you're like far away from them, so I think double pump was the solution to fix shotguns being consistent.
Mhm.
I don't you think that like double pumping like kind of promotes like a really like less skilled and almost shitty playstyle
Yes
of
and no.
like
I
Double pump, you have to be extremely close to be able to use it. That also promotes
uh
building. I
it
mean,
still hits you
if
for like if you
it's
hit
a lot of workarounds for to counter double pump.
you
yeah,
can build straight up,
right.
and
So I guess my whole problem with it is I mean I think PUBG is way too like quick paced. I think that like I wouldn't say too quick paced, but like it's very quick paced. And whereas PUBG on the other hand is like super slow paced. If I could get like a mix in between, I feel like it'd probably be the better Royale game. Um, so like I really don't like especially
H1.
especially yeah. But I
that meme
H1 without all
yesterday,
the
though,
problems. H1
jeez.
without all the problems, bro. H1 had so many fucking problems. Um, but I guess my whole thing is like I think it's I could be have like 200 health, outbuilding this dude, but he like gets around me somehow and like
And
I'm
one pump.
instantly dead. Not
One
not
pump.
even just one pump. He'll just shoot me once and then the next thing the thing is with double pump, they fixed it so like you can't like just do it more than once. You can still like two pump like kill somebody.
No,
Basically. You
no,
can't.
you can't. With this update,
You
they
have
didn't
to
even make
max
it
like
whereas
max
it
it out.
does. Everyone thought before the update was you shoot your first shotgun, you switch, you shoot that, then when you switch back, then you
You have to
chuck
pump
it
each
or you
time for
pump
each
every
it.
weapon.
every time you
It
switch
doesn't.
weapon, you have to pump, regardless of if it's already loaded or not.
Yeah, but it doesn't even shoot. I tried it whereas you shoot the first one, the second one shoots, you switch back, and it does. It's like stalls you from even shooting it.
Yeah,
It
Right.
doesn't even pump.
it, like
So
Right.
they,
No. Okay. I guess I thought it was different. I don't know. I haven't really run
Speaking of
double
the
pump
H1
since.
though, Jonas found a meme yesterday on Twitter that H1 Tombstone.
so
We
someone
actually
photoshopped
we
on
went to Haunted Hills to see
Haunted
it.
Hills.
It's
They
another one of those
Yeah, I
game
saw that.
mechanics, Nades. Like even in you mentioned PUBG. Uh, Being able to jump through windows in PUBG used to be, you had to be like a higher skilled player. I
Yeah,
know it's not a
but you
skill.
got like crouch
You
jump.
got to be able to crouch jump and
crouch jump.
time it perfectly that you fit through the window. And some of these guys, could do it every single time. You know what I mean? It was just a game mechanic. Luckily, PUBG got rid of that and made the game, a
it's like
more
the G
level playing
slide,
field by
It's
adding
like the
the by
G5
adding the
like the
vaulting.
G
You can
slide.
jump out the window. Anybody can jump out the windows
Yeah.
now.
or that
So
or
they
the
kind of
Vaulting
ML5.
was so
removed
overdue,
that
Yep.
man.
skill gap like issue with being able to like press two buttons and jump through the window. So just like with anything, I think Fortnite will address it. Like it sounds like they already have, in some regards.
Yeah, definitely.
I
So
mean, whoever has
and as
the
far as
opinion,
carrying multiples of double weapons, like I mean, even in PUBG, like yeah, you're limited. Like you have a pistol slot, and then you have a primary and a secondary. Does Fortnite need to do that? Probably not. I think it would still be okay to carry two, maybe even three ARs or whatever you want
I
to
only carry
carry.
two
I think
guns
they
now
should add a backpack.
A
for
backpack
like
Yeah,
that'd be
actual
interesting.
backpack.
for meds or something.
Yeah, we were
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
Because
that
medical
today in
backpack.
game, doing like
like my
a
meta
medical
right now
backpack.
is I only carry two guns. I carry two guns and the rest are shields and meds. Like
Hmm.
I don't need all these other guns
Yep.
just because I prefer to use a rifle and then maybe a sniper and explosive. Like
And I've
I
switched
don't mess with
totally over.
shotguns. I don't mess with the deagle usually.
Yeah.
If I have to, I will pick up like a regular pistol, like as a third
Do
weapon.
people still love the silence pistol?
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
well,
Spawn
no.
pistol.
A lot of
No?
people.
it's purple tag. I mean, not purple
It's
tag. Purple.
When that came out and I was playing with it, that was fun.
It's the
I like
tactical
that
machine
gun.
gun now is like the new.
yeah, the tactical
Yeah, it
machine
melts.
gun
It
melts.
really melts.
Like if you run a
So
shotgun, you run a tactical
and you
shotgun and a
pre-aim
tactical sub. Oh my god.
and you
Pre-aim
pre-aim the
with
corner and
shotgun.
then you get a crit with it, it melts.
Yeah.
So I think my meta is the best shotgun I could get at hand. So like purple tag, best AR I could get, and then explosive, and then shields and mech hit.
Yes.
Because with the explosive, I found that like if the player is really good at building, I could just blow their base up, and then I could just get close with whatever my shotgun is, or just very situational, or
Think-
use my AR.
Well, if you're
So
playing squad, just
And I
have
think
someone with a minigun.
right, and
yeah,
I think that's what me and Austin were pretty much doing. Austin with the ARs, just being able to use the ARs. Me with my controller, how I'm able to build, with how I'm able to build. I just run two tactical shotguns, and I just build up to people, and that's very intimidating. Seeing someone come flying at you and knows how to build like that. So that's what I've been doing. I've gotten a lot better at building. So I just run here lately. I've just been running two tactical shotguns, some sort of long range, if that's like an AR or something, and then two medical items. So I'm carrying two shotguns with me.
I know people that don't even run any medical items, like no bandages, no anything.
That's
They only
crazy.
run shields. I'm like, bro, if you get tagged up, how are you gonna heal up?
The reason why
I got
shields over bandages, I would rather carry the bandages just because if you fall, it doesn't take away from the shield. It takes away from your actual health, and the only way to get that back up is
Yeah,
through.
but what about the fact that like with the shield you can always get back up to 100, but with
Depending
depends
what
on
you
what
have.
shield.
Depends on
Yeah,
what you
health,
have.
you
small
can only
shields can only
add
get
like
up to 50.
75 health. Yeah, but if you're carrying a lot of shields, right, you can get 100 hit points back. Versus if you're carrying like
So in a
bandages and a med
firefight,
kit,
so in
and
a
then some
firefight, I
shields,
see that.
you're
Yes.
getting your health back up to
Yeah, I
100.
In a
see what you're
firefight,
saying.
I see that, but whenever
Maybe
you're
that's the reason. I don't know. I'm not a I'm just
No,
guessing.
you have
So
you have a
say
that's a
you have
valid reason. Yeah.
it's a
so
valid
say
Yeah.
that you got 100 shields, someone tags you up, now you have
Yeah, it's not about the shield versus the health. It's about the hit points that you can take.
Overall. Yep.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I see.
So
So
my
basically
whole
you
thing
can
is like
rebuild it.
my whole thing is like a power level thing, right? So it's like first is like at the bottom of it, it's like bandages, right? And you're just like, all right, bandages, shit, all right, well, I'll rock with it, right? Then it's mini shields, and you're like, mini shields, fuck yeah, whatever. Then it goes to like the medium shields, like the 50 shields, and you're like, okay, all right, I'm feeling it. Then it goes. I usually try to like keep minis on me because they're quicker, right? And then you have first aid kits where you're like, fuck yeah, and then there's chug jugs where you're like,
Can't forget
rolling.
about the
Yeah,
slurp.
every time I see a
Slurps
chug
I
jug,
just
I
take
just
whenever I
use
have
it.
them. I just take a slurp whenever I have it and leave it because I
Yeah.
don't think it's worth. I don't think the slurp is worth a spot in my inventory.
It's not. It's not. I chug it
So-
And
whenever
plus,
I
in
get
the
one.
safe zone, the slurps can come in handy. Like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
Well, yeah,
as
they can.
you
Those
that
can.
you're got a long range to go, you slurp up, and then it doesn't take any HP off of you.
The first two circles.
Yeah,
So yeah,
first.
basically what I just try to do in Fortnite is however a player what roles they run, just try to respect their opinions and let them run whatever they want to run because in this game, without the backpacks, everyone uses their 5 slots differently.
That's what
So
Cammy's for.
So,
they make,
I'm
so
dead.
they
Nades,
make Fortune carry all shields and health.
all right, we talked about the double pump. Do you want to talk skins or do you want to talk?
Yeah, new skins.
New skins.
Yeah.
To be
So
I-
I don't know. My opinion on Fortnite skins is kind of weird, but first of all, I don't buy them because I don't care.
they have no advantage to the game.
I'm a basic Fortnite player, but
Basic,
I think like you know what I mean. Like they have a $20 what was it, Dragon Kite, right?
Glider, yeah.
Dragon
Here's the
Kite.
thing. Here's the thing. The game was free, so it's not so much. It's not as bad as say other games like PUBG or first of all, it's not like a marketplace thing, right?
Right.
Like where PUBG is kind of like an auctioned marketplace
Yeah.
thing, and other games are like that. Call of Duty and CS:GO, they have like the loot drop chance stuff. I like the way that Fortnite is just, this is what we want to give you, and this is the price that you're gonna pay. Is it more expensive than if it's gonna be bought from the developer directly and not like some kind of marketplace or thing? it was a free game though, so you know they got to
Absolutely.
make money to be able to continue to develop the game, and it was a free game. Like you have to figure it, especially with PUBG. You know, you saw how PUBG got so popular, and they made tons of money because they sold their game for a price. Fortnite didn't. You know, I don't know if they were worried about their game not becoming popular, and that's why they made it free to play, so it would spread faster.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they were worried about, but for
So
whatever reason, they made it a free game, and that's great because more people can play the game.
so
And
so
you know,
Plasma
but
brings up a good point though. Whenever you see someone with some skins, like some high dollar skins, obviously they're dedicated to the game. So that's an intimidation
right.
factor.
So they
So
want to. So they're supporting the game because they didn't pay for the game. So they're supporting the game by paying into. You
right,
know.
right.
Well, I play devil's advocate. It's more of an advantage for Nick because if you see a player that doesn't have skins, you usually think they're trash, right? So then they roll up on him,
Nick
and then
drops
he shows them
bodies.
otherwise.
Nick's dropping
I
bodies.
can't
though.
tell you how many
Oh,
fucking Care
Yo,
Bears I've
hey,
killed, dude, and I
you
haven't spent
know,
a single dollar in that
I don't
game.
like playing Battle Royale on the Xbox, but when I've played with these guys, they know I've dropped some bodies in Fortnite.
I like
Definitely.
the new glider. I think the new gliders are cool. Not just a standard glider or umbrella. The dragon
Yeah.
is
That thing
like
shoots
Yeah,
fireworks and
it's cool.
everything.
it shoots
Yeah,
fire
it's
Yeah.
long as
like,
shit. Like
you know what I mean?
through the air.
They're also doing a good job with the skins, or like I guess what the content is. I guess the artistry of the content.
Right.
Like all of that stuff, you know, they've done a good job with. It looks good. It's interesting. It's, you know, different things stand out. Like I think they have countries and like isn't there like a
Yeah.
space
Well,
one
they
now? I don't
It
even
looks
they
like
do
a ski country.
they
Yeah.
do they did the Olympics, the Winter Olympics.
Right.
They do
So like their content is
Valentine.
good, and that's kind of like what made was part of why Rocket League was successful. Like they just came out with like 2 new cars that
seasonal
were
stuff.
cool,
Yeah.
had different mechanics, but it had all the like flashy things that
You
you
know,
could
the
get.
Halloween package.
Right.
It's probably my favorite.
Right. So I think Fortnite overall, like even though a lot of people want to complain about how expensive this stuff is, some of it may be now.
You're supporting the game.
You're supporting the game exactly.
You're paying people's paychecks. Keep the
You
game.
know, and you know, so it's hard to complain about Fortnite because it was a free
Rainbows and
game.
unicorns, baby.
Rainbows and
Games-
unicorns.
games you pay for, like Call of Duty, and then have to pay another $60 for the content. Like that's where like a lot of people have a better
Why don't you
argument.
get the unicorn.
But with Fortnite, like you just
Game's
can't
free.
argue
You can't
against it,
argue.
and the content
Yeah.
is good. Yeah, you can't argue because the game is free.
It's one of the top grossing games.
Like I still get to play it, even though like you know what I mean. I don't really
But
buy
you
like
you feel
skins and
left
things
out.
for any
Like
game.
You
I
feel
felt so
left out.
left out. So I had to buy the battle pass. I was like,
Did
oh
you
my
buy
god.
Yeah, exactly. Like
harvesting
I don't
tool?
know what level I'm at, but like if I had the
Alrighty.
battle pass, I would have had so many rewards, and I just did it.
What you say, Austin?
Did you buy the unicorn harvesting item?
No, I got the shock one, the ACDC,
Oh yeah, I have that one.
and
Cover
like
the battle pass.
yeah, and then some other ones, but I didn't get the unicorn. It looks dope.
I have it. It's probably one of my favorite ones so far. And the shark one, because the shark it's like
Yeah,
it's actually
yeah,
on
the
a
shark
spear, dude.
axe.
It's like wiggling.
That's the one I got, dog.
But,
It's so
but that's
cool.
why I think Fortnite is doing so better than all these
Yeah.
other games
How
because
they
they do
trolled
weekly
Ninja with the
updates.
plunger. That was
Oh
pretty
man,
fun.
that was funny. He said we'll literally buy anything. He said I'll buy a plunger as a pickaxe, and then 2 days later they put a plunger with a
Yeah,
freaking
right.
katana through it.
Right.
That was
That's
crazy.
pretty funny how they
Those
trolled
things
him.
should tax me.
So
You know, and some people are into that. I guess like to some people that keeps the game interesting.
Well, yeah, I think they're doing 2 things that like PUBG didn't and isn't doing, which is like basically their only competitor at this point, and I think that they're probably sweeping them up right now if you would look at the numbers. But
For
you
now.
know, so the 2 things that they improved on was the optimization, which was huge for PUBG because a lot of people couldn't even run the game,
Right.
and even me with a solid computer, you know, like running like 200 frames on like CS:GO, I'm running like 30 on PUBG, which is like awful. So and then like on Fortnite, I'm running like 100 plus.
Can't be anymore. You can't be getting less than 60 on
Right.
PUBG anymore. Like they've updated it.
No,
They've really
even
optimized
now, I'm still getting it. And
You got- you
my
just have
computer's
a
not super
problem,
updated.
man.
I don't know, man. And
But
then
we can talk about that later.
then the other thing that they improved on was PUBG was like it pretty much it pretty much like rewarded players for like sitting in a building and then getting lucky with circles and stuff like that. Whereas Fortnite is more more of a
Fast-paced,
slaughter, a lot more fast paced. Very like you're rarely winning if you're getting less than probably 4 kills. Like you'd probably, I mean, like your win rate's a
It
lot lower.
forces you to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when they made it whereas any material you can break down or destroy it, that reduces the amount of campers. Because instead of going through the door and then have them pre-aiming it, you just
Mhm.
destroy the building and then
If
lure
PUBG
them
had a
out.
Battlefield type feel to it, you know, on Battlefield you can destroy buildings and stuff. Dude, that would be sick. That'd be crazy. Like
That would be wild, dude.
that would be super wild. Yeah.
If you could like, because tactically you could, underbarrel grenade launcher through a wall, and that would be that would be really cool.
That'd be dope.
Yup.
Something like
Just out of
that.
curiosity, do you guys
Um,
know the like the first popular battle royale game?
I
Arma?
know it has to be like
I know
some
what
type
it
of
was.
Chinese.
No, no,
game.
no, no. They're like really popular, like mainstream.
Arma.
Daisy.
Gary's mod.
Minecraft Hunger
Oh,
Games.
Oh yeah,
Minecraft
that
Hunger
is the
Games, that
best.
is right,
The
yeah.
first one.
that's funny.
That's right. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Dang.
dude, Minecraft.
It's right,
yeah,
though.
Yeah, Minecraft Hunger Games was the shit, dude.
I thought like Daisy and
Not
Well,
Minecraft.
RuneScape-
That stuff came out way earlier.
RuneScape did it before.
Anyway, yeah.
Not as mainstream, but RuneScape did it. They have, I always forget the dead man. So like
Yeah.
you
They
I
have
go
tournaments
understand.
and stuff for that, too.
I understand like what you're, but I like to. I know people will throw their hands up in the air. Don't take this as serious as I'm saying it, but like if you compare Call of Duty to Counter Strike, Counter Strike's is slower paced than Call of Duty, right? Like
yeah,
Fortnite's
certain
fast
points,
paced,
yeah.
and yes, PUBG has more campers and things like that, but like
certain
at a high level play, and hopefully we'll talk. If we don't talk about IEM Catalyst in this podcast, we'll catch it next time.
We will. Yeah, next week.
But it's, in my opinion, it's kind of more a strategy game, CS:GO, versus Call of Duty,
No,
which is
absolutely. 'Cause
fast
if
paced.
I was watching PUBG Network, for example. I was like, we need to play Fortnite. Like these guys play PUBG. Like they're covering all angles, watching everything. And you have in Fortnite, people get a little bit, I would say, careless.
And I guarantee you, when Fortnite becomes a like competitive style game, like just like PUBG, you know
It's
what I
gonna
mean?
slow
Like you
down
can
a
be
little
in the third, fourth circle, and there's still 70 people alive.
yeah, it's gonna be
in
a lot
in
slower. I
competitive
try
sense.
to tell my teammates,
Exactly.
and they don't get that.
Exactly. So, you have to remember, yes, from an everyday standpoint,
Fortnite's
yes,
still
it
a
can get
baby.
campy, but it's just a different game. It's a different style of the game. It's meant to, you know what I mean? And it's meant to, when you play the game for 20 minutes long, like looting and have like only a couple kills in PUBG, and you finish like 10th place, like the game is supposed to give you emotion and make you frustrated. Like versus
I don't know if you've seen, but I played
Fortnite,
PUBG
you
for
can
3
just
days.
just run through a game, get 10th place. Like, yeah, you get frustrated, but you just keep
I
running
get
through games,
I get way
like,
too mad, bro.
Yeah, especially if you get second.
Now-
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
The thing with Fortnite recently, the footsteps.
Like, you don't have as
is
much
killing
time
me.
invested in the game, is what I'm saying, in Fortnite.
No, you're
Right.
absolutely right.
Max amount of time is like 23 minutes.
Right.
Because by then all the circles are done.
All right, Jonas. So
I don't know. I think that even though Fortnite is more fast paced, I think PUBG still gives me a greater like adrenaline rush. Just because when you do get into a gunfight, you want to make sure that you hit all your shots because you've just played and invested all this time into the game, So, and I don't know, I get a bigger adrenaline rush out of PUBG than Fortnite, even though Fortnite is a faster paced game.
Right.
But that's just me.
shit goes south real quick.
So, speaking of the battle royale type of games, there's a new one coming out. It's some Mavericks, but there's a lot of battle royale games coming out. So, Mavericks is going to be one of the bigger ones. It's confirmed 400 players. So it's going to be dropping into a map's 400 players.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it's like a modern day shooter.
Did they say it's like a stream?
Wow,
Like
I'll have to check that out. I heard about the Red Dead Redemption one, but I haven't.
Red Dead
checked that one
Redemption.
out.
They said this is a battle royale game made for streamers.
Yes.
They said.
Wow, cool.
Yes. Yep. There's supposed to be like a lot of precautions when it comes to being able to stream snipe people, everything like that. So there's going to be multiple lobbies, so to where if you queue at the same time, it's not going to put you in the same lobby.
Yeah, isn't that awful? Like I like to watch Shroud, and he gets into a game, and there's just people driving by honking car horns just on purpose.
Beep
Tells us
beep.
that's
Bye.
awful.
So I actually looked into Mavericks, right?
Um,
So the game's said that it's gonna come out in 2019.
Yep.
Personally, I feel like the battle royale hype's gonna be gone by then. I think the battle royale hype is like cool and all, but eventually, like I think it's gonna dip off the mainstream a little bit and become more of like a spectator game. Like when they start making it like when they
Competitive.
start making it more competitive, yeah. I mean, Fortnite in general is I mean, it's a free game, so like you have a lot of people who are gonna try to play it. Hold on, sorry. My Windows update thing came up. I told it to leave me the fuck alone. But yeah, no. Yeah, like I don't know if they're gonna hit it on time. Plus with all these other battle royale games, I feel like there's like bits and pieces that I like from all of them. But there's the one I can't remember the name of it. It's everybody has like abilities based on characters that you pick. Shut up. My roommates are yelling at me. Yeah, no. It's a very very limited battle royale. I think it's only like 20 people, and they have like 20 characters. All of them are like separate, and I think it's like a draft pick or whatever to see who you get, something like that. But it's cool because you have like all these different abilities and stuff like that. So it's like a lot more supernatural take on the battle royale game.
Basically, like Black Ops 3 meets Battle Royale
Um,
abilities.
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I would say more like Overwatch.
You made good points, but I think that the battle royale like genre is gonna last for a long time. I think it's a
Until
new
competitive VR comes out.
when
to
you
be
look
honest.
at real different genres, when you look at first person shooters versus uh, well, how do I put it? Like I don't know. I guess can you go to the level and say like top down style games, like strategy games, like RTS games, like League of Legends and all that, versus first person shooters versus fighting games that are like the 2D fighting games. Like I personally think that like battle royale is just in the beginnings. Like people have
Yeah.
realized that style of play is fun, and I think that they can. I think a lot of developers can take that genre and make it its own category
Yeah, I don't
amongst.
think it's gonna die anytime soon.
But
Black
we'll
Ops
see.
4
It could be a fad.
gonna
Who
have
knows? But
Battle
I
Royale.
think it's really fun, and I don't think it's going to go
That's
away
super odd
anytime
right now.
soon.
It's
Yeah.
super odd.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That'd be crazy if like
And not
Call
to
of Duty
mention that,
introduced something like that.
Battle Royale
They
game
have
is
to.
officially esports ready. Like they say PUBG, it is an esports, but it's still not
Oh
ready.
no, the thing is, it's so luck based and like you can have a lot of skill and like those skills. Sorry, I'm like yelling at my roommates. So like battle royale games, yeah, they take a lot of skill, but I mean like if you get fucked by the circle every single time, you're spending the entire game running across the map and then you don't get nearly as good loot and then somebody's sitting on the edge of the circle waiting for you and like that could happen to the best player and like and they just get fucked and it's like the most frustrating feeling in the world. So I mean like I don't I just don't see how you turn that into an esport and not have all the pros complaining about how like oh well this happened and like I mean do you guys remember during one of the earlier IEM PUBG ones when Mythic was in it and they were talking about how they had to reset the game twice because of some stupid shit and they had like sniper silencer and a fucking AR silencer and then they had to reset and then they got another AR silencer then they reset again and it's literally just because of I don't think these games are ready until a battle royale game comes out that is so much more like a game that is so much more like not, or I guess less luck based I feel like that's when it'll actually start becoming like more competitive.
You could also argue that like it doesn't matter if you're furthest from the circle or closer to the circle, you can get pretty good loot and get move in time. It's arguable. I mean, I would say like there's a reason that like in PUBG there's still 70 people alive in the third and fourth circle.
See, Fortnite's different. It's the opposite. The first circle hasn't even gone by, and there's only
So like 30 people left.
Right.
Dog.
I think in a competitive scenario, in
It's gonna be
Fortnite.
a
I
lot,
don't think it'll be like that at
a
all.
lot different. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, can I add a topic?
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, I seen T Martin post a video about it. So the Save the
God.
World, huh?
So, oh God,
Yeah. So Save the World, they
T. Martin
added.
Martin
signed
stole my
it.
lunch money.
The T. Martin sign at Dallas.
I'm sorry,
Man,
what?
Yeah, I seen
oh
that. I know
God,
what you
this
guys
guy.
talking about. So basically, he made a video. They were talking about on Save the World that they added in a hoverboard, and he said that it would be a cool idea to introduce, but you have to be at a disadvantage somewhat, and how would they have to
One-time use.
implement? Yeah, he said one time use, you can only ride it to get to the safe zone, and it takes up 3 item slots. So what do you
Whoa.
guys feel about the matter of what they have to do to implement a
Well, the jetpack.
hoverboard?
I mean, the jetpack's coming though. So I mean,
Jetpack's not going to be used for transportation.
what is it used for? I guess
Elevation.
The elevation.
What the hell?
Well, I just think with the whole hoverboard thing.
It's going to have height rather than like forward and
They added
backwards
a
momentum.
jetpack? When was
Yeah.
this?
Today they announced
Yeah.
it today in the game.
Wow. Yeah, I literally just woke up and got ready for the podcast.
Now I think the map's too small on Fortnite to have
A hoverboard?
transportation at all. Now you can like put in maybe like a Razor scooter or something if that's what you want.
Hell yeah. Hop on, babe.
Yeah, but I can just imagine, if the hoverboard, I can see someone ramping off something and just doing something silly because some awesome trick shots for example. So you're saying that the hoverboard won't be able to be used unless you're in the storm?
Yeah, so basically, like, the storm hasn't even got to the map. You see the circle, the first
It's to
storm where
get
you
to the
have to get
circle.
to, and
Gotcha.
then you see that line, and it's just to take you straight there. And once you get there, then it disappears. You hop off. It dissipates. I don't
It's
know.
automatic though. You don't. It doesn't.
That's what he's saying. It could. This is
I don't
you could
like
use
that
your
because
imagination. You
if
could use
I'm
your
getting shot
imagination.
at, I want to choose my own path. I don't want it to go on the directed path.
Yeah.
That's how I
And
feel.
he's saying if it's like that,
Yeah.
then you should be
I
able to
hope.
get shot off of it. If like you
Yeah.
ride by or zoom by someone, they
Like the
shouldn't be
bush.
able to be popping shots on someone, and then they can't, hit.
Right.
And if you do get hit, then it goes away.
I hope that Fortnite does not implement anything like that, like
Yeah,
anything
I don't feel like-
vehicle wise, because like in PUBG, it was just a point for people to complain. And I think the game type and the the map size and where it's at, I don't think. I
Transportation's
hope
healthy.
they don't. Yeah, like it's
The launch pad gets you
the launch
enough.
pad. Yeah, is awesome. I've seen the grenade that you can throw now, and it launches
Impulse.
you.
That
That's
works
pretty
too
cool.
for transportation as well.
Yeah.
I
And
did
then
it
he
today.
was also saying that you can drop probably the rarity of like, cause I only find jump pads is when I kill someone, or either it's just really rare that I just find it in the chest or something. So just make it less rare, and then so people, if they get
Maybe making
stuck,
it
then
like
they
a
could
blue.
jump at, yeah, instead of a purple.
But then
That'd
there'd
be
be a lot more people in the final circle and being taken by the
Yeah.
storm. And
So
that's skill
jetpacks.
based. So you got to know when to head out, not get caught. If you get caught, in the
Yeah.
storm, that's your own fault.
Because
Like,
it takes only 45 minutes each grid and square to
seconds.
get across of it. Yeah, 40. Oh, I said minutes. My bad. Seconds.
Takes 45 seconds, yeah. So
Yeah.
jetpacks are going to be gold items, so they're going to be epic. However, with what Fortnite has tweeted in the past to where they're not going to be adding transportation to the game, jetpacks, in my opinion, are not going to be used for transportation. What they're going to be used for is getting up the side of a mountain if there's a team above you on a mountain instead of building up and wasting materials. If someone has a jetpack, you can jetpack up to them. It's going to be primarily used in solos, can be used strategically in squads, but in solos it's going to be real huge because you can get up to a mountaintop, and, kill someone that's not expecting you. If you're in tilted towers, get to the top of a tower there. It's not going to have a lot of forward and backward momentum, but it's definitely going to allow you to get up in high places. Now, here's the thing. With the jetpack initiated, I don't think you're going to be able to fire, as well as it's going to be to where you have to hold down the jump button. So anytime you let go of it, you're going to be falling. So if you let go of it indefinitely and you fall straight down, whenever you hit the ground, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Correct. So I think that's how it's going to be implemented. Do you agree? Disagree? How do you think it's going to be
I like
implemented?
that. I mean, I feel like and it's not a one-time use, so
Right.
use it.
It would be
Yeah.
it's gonna have infinite. It's gonna have infinite because if it has a certain amount of use, that means that either the rarity of it can't be gold, or they have to put in gas tanks into the game, and then that's a bigger patch than just adding a jetpack.
I feel
So
like if you use the jetpack, go up to a certain distance, like you're on a base and someone's pushing you, and you just flip to a weapon, jetpack goes away, and you can down how like the falling shotgun, for example. You could do that instead of
right,
like
definitely.
I think that will be a good addition to the game for sure. Um,
Mhm.
definitely with
Uh,
people
Dude,
that
that's gonna be some crazy kill cam.
I
Someone coming
think
to you, go straight up in the air, coming straight back down on them. Oh man,
I
that'd be great.
personally disagree with it. I like how you said in the mountain. I'm thinking in that aspect. What I usually do if
instead of
like
wasting materials.
I strategize. Yeah, that's a big payoff. You don't have to waste materials. But what about the guys that strategize and say, all right, this is where we could go to get the drop on teams or advantage on them. And many times I say, let's set up on this mountain. So if someone has a jetpack, yeah, you could just shoot them if you see them coming up or
And you
hear
probably
them
can
coming
hear them
up.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
has to
probably
be
gonna be
loud. Yeah,
it's
it
probably
has to
gonna
be
be
loud.
it's gonna have some volume to it.
Well,
So
But
hopefully it
like
has some
that
volume on
would
like
I think
these
that would
freaking
mess with like the
footsteps lately.
strategic aspect of it. Like people could just jetpack straight up there, and then while you're trying to build up there, they could just be like, "Phoop," and then go straight up there, and then
right, but
like
you
meet
you
you up
also have
there.
to think with that Almighty, it's an epic item, so it's only gonna drop one. So that's not the whole team coming up and dropping down on you.
Yeah,
That's
that
just
is
one
true. But
person, and that's
solos,
probably 5 to maybe 6 in the whole entirety of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really like
yeah.
disagree with it, and like
I
really,
say we let it play out and see what it's like.
Yeah.
yeah. I just don't want it to be too overpowered. It
Right.
has to be
I
loud.
understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely don't want
It's
it to
like
be too
what was the
overpowering.
Halo that they put a jetpack in?
Reach was the
All the
first one.
Call of
Reach.
Duties.
Reach.
Yeah, Reach
Yeah.
was the first one. You had to, but in order to shoot while jetpacking in Reach, because that was the era before Scuffs came out, you had to play Claw.
Hmm.
So that was there. And also, if you want, you could juggle the flag while jetpacking. Like I could. For example, on one of these maps, it was a 3-story map on each one. You jump down to the bottom with the flag, and you could juggle. You know, you jump, throw the flag.
Yeah,
You have to claw to jump, throw, and juggle the flag while jetpacking. And it was actually, like you said, a mechanic to the game. Like
that
we were talking
pros
about, like
use.
double
Good.
pump.
So
Yeah,
moving on. That was a good leapfrog into the next topic.
absolutely.
Yeah, good
Halo.
transition.
Halo Orlando qualifiers were last week, I believe.
Yep.
Um, Not gonna talk too much about what happened in the pool. That wasn't really the hype of the tournament. The hype of the tournament was definitely the final. It was Optic versus Splice, and Splice wins indefinitely. And whenever they are interviewed, they said that it's going to continue to be that way.
Splice looks strong.
Optic finally lost, dude.
Yeah, Optic's been on top of the Halo world
Yeah.
for the last 3 years, man. In majority of the tournaments, they win worlds every year. Um, Optic's reign in console shooting, period. They've been they're they're the Patriots of console games right now. They have been, and I think their era is coming to an end. I don't know what's going on, except for Gears. The Optic Gears Award team is still untouchable. They win every single event.
Yeah,
So,
pretty interesting. You know what I mean? Pretty interesting that they lost.
and I did not see that Splice winning at all. Like I would not even have guessed Splice would have been top 4. Um, with the whole envy, they kept Pistola and they got rid of everybody else, Mickwin and Snipe down. With
Right.
that whole roster change, that roster, Pistola is the oldest guy on that team. Everyone else is super young and unheard of. I mean, I didn't even know half those kids on that team. And Reciprocity, with Mickwin and Snipe down,
Yeah, how'd they do?
they got 4th again. So, and I banked on them winning, and
Yeah.
it's just because the way their roster is and the talent they have on that team and championships they have on that team. I had them. I had when I did the Halo fantasy picks. I had 1, 2, and 3. And I had Splice at finishing like 7th. So, but Optic showed some life in game 2. They actually won the game 2. It was a blowout, that Stronghold game, but Splice came back and won the Slayer, the Stronghold, and finished out with CTF again, and they just rushed Optic. They went through. That didn't lose a single series. They went through winners bracket all the way through. They won their pool. Everything. It was insane. And I unfortunately, once again, teams didn't show up to this event. The venue looked nice. I don't know if any of you guys got a chance to check out how the venue looked. It felt like the old MLG Halo venue. It wasn't the small HCS venue how it's been. It had the stations, it had the teams, the commentators, the MLG, the gear. It felt like old times. A lot of the players were saying, Twitter and stuff like that. But once again, the community didn't show up, and a total of 75 teams showed up. So, not a lot. People showed up. Prize pool is only 50K. Once again, it's not one of the highest paid games, and we'll see how the rest of the season turns out. Because Optic I think they're in some trouble. I don't think they'll make top 4 next event. Because
Wow.
I read an article
cool.
on Reddit. They were
Dang.
they had issues in the house that they were arguing.
Yeah, I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, they had internal issues before the tournament, not only with what has been going on with the Optic side, with investors and the way that's been
They don't
going.
even know who to answer to.
Yeah, no one answers to them. They don't know who to talk to. There's an issue. They're basically left out, and these are some of the best guys in the entire world. Formal, they used to have Formal, that and he went over to COD, and the people on Optic, they've been teaming together this is their 4th year together. Like I said, they've won Worlds 3 years in a row, and they win at least 5 events a season. So.
Hey, man, I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm gonna have to end up dipping. So it's been real. Thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you guys for having me on. It's been fun.
Thanks, man.
All right, thanks, man.
Yep. I'll
Take care.
talk to you guys later.
Pleasure. But definitely, we'll see. Like I said, how the rest of the season plays out. Optic definitely has something they need to go over what's going on, because if you guys look at last year HCS Worlds, and they won every event last season except for one, and they dominated last season, and the game hasn't changed. There hasn't been any update for the game, like on the way guns shoot, the way the movement is. A little bit's changed with like the radar, but that's really about it. I know the BR is not existent anymore. They completely messed the BR up once again. They tried to fix it, and they should have just left it how it was. So I don't know. Hats off to Splice though, that's for sure.
So, do you think it will get better with more teams competing since now that MLG picked up Halo?
I mean, I don't see why. I mean, there was so much hype around it before the event happened, and I thought at least over 100 teams were going to show up. But I read that there were a lot of DNFs, like people didn't show up to their games, and they got like first rounded, and then they didn't even show up to their losers bracket. They seen who they were playing, and but they do the same thing as CWL does now. You can up to 35. You have to grind game battles again for Halo, and that's what they begged for years. And they're doing the same thing. They're complaining now that I didn't have time to grind my game battles, so I didn't get my pro points to get the right seeding. Well, that's where you need to strive and finish well in the 2Ks they have to get the pro points. So they begged for this, and I don't know. I don't know if MLG is gonna. This probably be the last season for Halo, unless Halo 6 is just an amazing. Just blows all the other 5 out the water. So.
Yeah,
We'll
definitely.
just blame Bungie anyway.
Yeah, F Bungie. It's all their fault, dude.
Yeah.
And look what
Just
they
kidding.
did. They said,
Yeah, we'll see. I have good hopes
Bungie
for
said,
Halo.
Bungie, the reason Bungie got rid of Halo? Because they said that Destiny was a better game.
Yeah.
Where's the competitive scene for Bungie or for Destiny?
Yeah.
Non-existent.
Yep.
So.
Definitely.
Other
I think
news.
current news. So, still with kind of like the gaming industry, Ninja probably right now,
Face of Twitch.
tell me if I'm wrong. The face of Twitch. He's taken that spot from Doc. Obviously, the hype behind Doc is huge. First day on, that was his all-time high. However, Ninja's getting over 105, 110,000 concurrent viewers every single day now for the past week.
Over
That
30.
That's what do you mean?
You say concurrent viewers, he's like at 50, like 30,000 every single day or plus.
He's been at 110,000.
Oh, on his peak point. Yeah, my
Yeah,
bad.
at his peak point every single day. Yeah.
That's LCS numbers almost.
So he's huge. He's got 56,000 subscribers. That comes out to roughly about 200K a month that he's making. That's just off of subscriptions. So he's huge. But with that, Ninja's a great guy. So Ninja raises a lot of money for national suicide prevention. I believe he raised something like I know we're all laughing because of what we dealt with about 2-3 weeks ago, but he
Yeah,
raises a
that's
lot of
awesome of him. Good
he
for him.
Well,
raises
and
a lot
also
of money.
Ninja.
It was like $100,000 he raised.
Really, that much?
Yeah,
Wow.
it was
Yeah, he
it
raised
was
$100,000. Yeah, he raised a
yeah,
lot.
it was crazy. So he raised it for national suicide prevention. So just big shouts out to him for being able to do that, using his platform for the good and not for the bad, you know. Also in the news, Doc buys his wife a Porsche. I think this is kind of an apology gift, for what happened. I mean, obviously, what he did, if what we think he did was true, definitely that was a terrible thing. So this is definitely, his.
E-girls can get the best of anybody.
So this
Okay?
is saying
So
like,
anyone listening,
I'm sorry,
be
here's
careful.
this. But I mean, to be honest, the Porsche is not obviously it's a very very nice car, but Doc's pay, it probably didn't really hurt him that much. So, but it's a very nice car, so it's a very nice gift for his wife. PSN ID change is soon to come. So PlayStation users,
Finally.
up soon, you're gonna be able to change your PlayStation
Havoc
ID.
Almighty.
They don't know exactly how much it's going to cost yet. Rumors are it's going to cost anywhere from $10 to $15. That's probably what it's going to cost to change your ID. You're still going to have to change it to, a username that's not been used. However, I think each year if your account hasn't been used, and I believe 6 years,
Yeah, it's
they
gonna be.
recycle the name. So there's a lot of new names that are going to be coming out. Definitely, if you want to get your
I'm still
name.
trying to get my prophecy tag on Xbox, dude. The guy said 100K. I wanted to slap him.
Dang.
Yeah.
So that is out. Now HavoK news. Obviously, the top 5 is out. So if you're a streamer, even if you're not a streamer, and you just get a clip, Xbox clip, whatever it is, please,
A funny, a
please
fail. It doesn't
send it
matter what
in. A funny, exactly. I mean, last week, or the top 5 that I was talking about, I got 5th. It wasn't even like the most astonishing clip. It was a funny clip. Me and Austin were dying laughing what actually happened right there.
He
So
saved my ass, dude. It was so. He threw an impulse grenade and it launched me into a bush, and I was down. And and he got the cleanup kill, and he rezzed me, and we actually.
Yeah, I seen that.
It was
funny.
insane.
So definitely if you get anything, a funny kill, awesome kill, whatever it is, if you think it's top 5 worthy, send it in. We'll overview it. Definitely if you're not sending anything in, then you don't know because I didn't even know that one was going to get put on there. So definitely send those into us. Keep up to date with us on Twitter as well as YouTube at HVK Esports on Twitter. On YouTube, search for HavoK Esports. You'll see the wolf logo on there. I believe we're right almost at 100 subscribers on YouTube. We're getting some
We got
good
the
feedback.
podcasts up there in
We got
case
the
you want to watch
podcast
it
up there,
live.
the top 5. We've got a lot of other channels
We
that
got
we've
good
put
things for you in
videos
the
on there.
future.
Yeah.
Goku's videos, he comes out every week. We put his up there.
Yep,
Yeah,
definitely,
the
definitely.
Monster Hunter series.
Yeah,
I watched that video.
Shout out
he's a
to
very good YouTuber.
Shout out to Prof. Last week, #1 streamer on motocross. So that got
3 days
the
in a row.
3 days in a row. Not the
Wait,
biggest
at one
game out
point,
there, but
at one point on the
Nah,
channel, I had
you
35
know,
viewers at one point.
I
but
was trying to boost
you
Austin.
racing games in general, like Forza, NASCAR, motocross. I think I see a lot of future in that genre of games. I know it's not the
definitely.
most popular, but like back in my day, I loved like Need for Speed. I loved racing games in general. And I think if like the same way like the
Gran
NFL and
Turismo.
the
Gran
NHL is
Turismo
getting
was
on
very
board with the gaming side of their sport. I think if NASCAR and motocross, I think it could really become like an esport that kicks off someday.
Gran Turismo was one of the first MLG games. I don't know if you knew that.
Gran Turismo?
Yeah, Gran Turismo was one of the very first games to be picked up by MLG.
Yep.
Speaking of motocross, as soon as they Milestone, God heaven forbid that company, they came out with this amazing game, and there's just so many bugs on the motocross game. Like the graphics look amazing, the way that you move the bike and stuff. But as soon as they fix the custom lobbies and the way the game runs with the update, we are going to be hosting a motocross series for the 250 class and the 450 class. It's going to be a season series just like the professionals do. And at the end, me and Plasma agreed to get a motocross jersey for the winners of the 250 series. And if anyone is interested in racing in this series, we're going to have a max 24 riders per class. Get with me, Twitter, Discord, any of my social medias that I have, and I'll go ahead and put you in the books to add you on the series. They fix these servers.
Definitely. Keep up to date with that. You can always find him, as I say, every podcast at HavoK Prophecy. So be sure to do that. Get out there, get involved with the HavoK community. Great people. So it's always tons of fun. Shout out to the two guests for joining us. I know Zykes had to dip out a little bit earlier. But thank you to Almighty for taking the time out of his schedule to come onto the podcast. So definitely, guys, if you want to be on one in the future, please let me know. As of right now, the list is done, so there's no one up to bat. So if you do want to be on the next one, please let me know. Even if you've been on one previously, if you want to come,
people who want to be on.
if you want to come back, then just let us know, and we'll put you behind the new people, obviously. But just let us know, and we'll be sure to get you in there.
And Almighty's still looking for players for competitive play.
Yes. So PS4, Fortnite, if you're really, really good, hit up Almighty, looking for, I believe, 2.0 KD or better, and just have general stuff that you'd need for competitive play. So reach out to Almighty at HavoK Almighty on Twitter if you want to do that. When will HavoK reopen for members? I know a lot of people have asked me that. Honestly, guys, that's going to be up to these two that are right above me. That has nothing to do with me. I know a lot of people have asked me. So that's going to be up to them whenever everything dies down, whenever we get a lot of...
Happen soon,
it's going to happen soon. They've got a lot...
some things to handle, and then...
Yeah, so they've got a lot going on behind the scenes that they're going to be working on to make the membership process a lot better for joining members, as well as for the ones who are already here, to cut down on things such as drama, hate, everything like that. So it's going to be a work in progress. They're definitely working on it, so please just stay tuned. Also, any stream problems or questions, please see myself, stream manager. So if you need shouted out, anything like that, please just let me know. The HavoK page is kept up by, I think it's 4 or 5 people now. So we're trying our best to retweet streams, everything like that in the retweet chat. Please put it in there. That's what it's for. And definitely, if you see someone post something in there, if you want to use it, then you know.
Every week, guys. Cross-platforming.
Exactly.
If you want to grow, can't help yourself grow, and if you can't help others grow.
Exactly. And then last but not least, Nated apparel right here, what I'm wearing, that's gonna be coming out soon on
stand up, show it off.
on the MaxT Esports. Yep. So HavoK Nades, it's got the the wolf right there. It's got the all black, and then inside of the hood is white. So it's a very, very nice hoodie. I highly do recommend it. Not just because it's mine, but it's made out of good materials, and it looks good. It's black and white, so it goes with pretty much everything. So
material is the HavoK hoodies. So
exactly. So it's just like that HavoK hoodie. It's just got my logo on it, so it's blacked out. Yes, super warm. I'm like sweating right now. It's like 65 degrees in here. So a big shout out to HavoK for allowing me to put my logo on that. So thank you guys as well. So that's definitely something I've been waiting on for quite a while. I know I was bugging Austin at least once or twice a month, like, hey, when's this gonna happen? Finally got it done. So I know a lot of people want to get that. So I thank you guys. Like I said, I'm your host, HavoK Nades. Is there anything else, guys, before we close out today?
Let the race continue.
Let the race continue.
The
The race on Fortnite continues. Leaderboards get reset in 2 days, so hopefully they don't.
That's doing the post-podcast broadcast.
Yes, and it is Austin's turn to stream. Sir.
No.
Yes. So
All
we're gonna
right.
be on the post-podcast broadcast. I nailed it, Shark. Nailed it.
Brady, what's your total score at right now in squads? I just want to get a feel for where you're.
What, in Fortnite?
Yeah, like overall score, because me and Jonas are hitting like.
We're hitting like mainstream streamer numbers. We're at like 55 grand for
Oh,
score
I
right
haven't
now.
played. I mean, I haven't played with. Last time I played was with you guys. So
Yeah,
how
it
long ago
reset.
was that?
It's the new season.
Yeah,
Everything
it's
reset.
new season. Everything
you're at
reset.
zero.
So a 0.
Yup.
Dang. So I thank you guys so much for coming out. Like I said, I'm your host, HavoK Nage. You can always catch Prophecy right above me at HavoK Prophecy, Shark at HavoK Shark.
Update
Almighty.
next week for Milestone.
Yep,
By
update next week for a milestone. And at HavoK Almighty. So thank you so much for being here, guys. Thank you for watching. If you're gonna be watching this as a YouTube video, and like I said, I'm your boy HavoK Nage. Thank y'all so much, and we'll catch y'all next week.